Where are you on marijuana?
I think it's awful. I think it's terrible. I used to have a more kind of libertarian view of it.
Yeah.
If you were to go back 10 years, 15 years, my view was I don't like it personally, but...
You were never a weed smoker?
I've had it. I've never been years and years and years ago, not in adulthood. It's not for me. It's not for me. But, and my view used to be, well, it's not for me, but probably all this, I kind of bought into the war on drugs thing, and all this money that we're spending to try to stop people from smoking it is a waste. And so it should probably just be legal, even if I don't like it. There's this argument from the marijuana fans that, well, it's no different from than alcohol. And we know how prohibition of alcohol worked out. And so if we're going to allow people to go out and get a drink, why shouldn't they be able to go
out? Worked out pretty well, I think. I think cirrhosis deaths went way down, didn't they? I mean, they did.
Yeah. So I'm not convinced by the argument for that reason. I'm also not entirely convinced that alcohol and marijuana are comparable. For one thing, and alcohol can be really bad, and there's addiction, and it can destroy families and lives. Alcohol is, though, at least a more social, it's a social lubricant.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're with a group of people and you're having a drink, it can help you kind of loosen up. You have a better time, as long as you're not being excessive. Now, if somebody gets trashed, then it kind of ruins the time for everyone, and that can happen. I think marijuana is not like that. It kind of turns you inward. It makes you antisocial, So if you're sitting around a table with some people and a couple of them are drinking a beer, even if you're not drinking, you can have a perfectly nice time. But if you're sitting around a table and a couple of the people are stoned, it's like it's lame. You don't even want to talk to that person. They've got nothing to contribute.
Yeah. Does seem to isolate people.
Yeah, I think it's isolating. I think it turns you inward. But regardless of all that, my opinion was, yeah, it should probably just be legal. But I also believe in, when you get new data, you get new facts, you need to analyze them. You need to be willing to change your mind. And so we have legalized it in many places across the country, in many cities. And I've been to these cities, as many of us have, where weed is now, it's like cigarettes were 30 years ago. Everybody's smoking. And I think the early returns are not good.
You don't think Denver and New York are pretty great?
I really don't. I think it's quite terrible. It's not all because of weed, but just the experience of walking around, everybody's high, it reeks of weed everywhere. How has this made anyone's life better? That's my question. That's what I want to know. I'd be willing to adjust my view on this. And I've asked this question before. I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer. But we've made weed legal in a lot of these places. In what way has it measurably improved life anywhere now that it's legal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's degraded people to the point where they're very easy to control. Don't you think that's an upside? So if you're like running a criminal enterprise posing as a government and you don't want people to rebel violently against you, then you give them drugs so they won't.
And if I was in a position of power politically, then maybe I'd feel that way. But for me,
I mean, that does like take 3 steps back. Like, what is this? The whole population is like addled with something, ladies are on benzos, the kids are on amphetamines, the young men are on weed.
Yeah.
Like, no one's in his right mind, but everybody's kind of grooving out to his own music, and testosterone levels have just like dropped through the floor. And so probably not going to have an insurrection when everyone's high, right?
Yeah. It makes people compliant. It makes them apathetic, even more than I think people just sort of naturally are these days. And of course, in reality, these are all bad things. So it kind of goes back to, how has it made anyone's life better? And
right.
And I don't know. I'm a simple person. Maybe I can be guilty of being simplistic sometimes. So if that's the case, then guilty as charged. But to me, it's like, I think a policy is bad if it makes people's lives worse and doesn't improve anything.
What if it works in theory? What if it's a beautiful theory?
Well, theories are great. Then we can talk about it. Then it's a lot of fun to talk about.
It's like that famous the de Gaulle line, which I think is probably fake. We know it works in practice. The question is, does it work in theory?
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's in operation in the United States. It's like, well, people have the right to X, Y, or Z. Therefore, we're doing this. And it's like, actually, that's a disaster. But people have a right. You know what I mean?